Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to AAOE Sports AAOL, the Amateur Australian Overwatch ladder, sorry. We're in Season 11 here, back in with Stage 2. It's Week 1, so we've just got back into the show. It's brought to you by AAOE Sports and sponsored by My Republic Gamer. Tonight, I'll be casting with Nikki over here, and I'm Stranger, of course. Nikki, how are you feeling tonight?
I am feeling absolutely spectacular. Thank you for having me. It feels so good to be back on the mic, back on camera. Hello, everyone. Woo woo! And I'm just really excited for some solid Overwatch tonight. I think that the bigger question, though, is Boop City, question mark?
Oh, no. Well,
there's a lot of boot potential on these maps, and I'm very excited.
Before we get into the memes, I'll just discuss what AAOL is for the people at home that aren't sure. It's a weekly casual tournament. It's run by AAOE Sports in a 10-week format split into 2 stages. They get a bit of a break as well between all of that. It goes in 2 5-week round-robin sessions. It's currently the largest Oceanic tournament with 70-plus teams, so it's really grown a lot since the first season. You can sign up as an individual or with a team if you'd like to get involved with it. Check out the links underneath the stream to sign up for that.
Yeah, it's really good to get involved. I've, of course, played myself in all these, and it's just a really fun environment to get involved in. Always a lot of fun. But before we get into it, I would just like to thank our sponsor for tonight, which is My Republic Gamer. Stay at home with the #1 broadband provider for gaming. My Republic offers fixed broadband plans and services that provide ultra-low, ultra-stable latency connections for optimizing your gameplay experience. Enjoy exciting privileges, special gaming offers, and exclusive access to specialized gamer perks. And make sure that you visit myrepublic.net to check out all these great offers that we have in store for you today.
Right. Make sure you visit that link, get involved, and check out what they've got in store for you. They're a great provider. All right, let's have a look. Tonight, we've got Legion versus Catalyst, 2 Division 7 teams going head-to-head. That'll be our only match for tonight. We don't have a second one for you, so it's going to have to be... Hopefully this one will be really good. Nikki, do you want to just go through this lineup quickly?
Yeah, I would love to. Just give me a brief second, sorry.
Sure.
So yeah, we are going to start off with looking at Suck Gaming Legion. And I actually recently got to cast these teams. I got to cast these teams recently. And it was really good fun. I really enjoyed it and there's a lot of potential. So we are starting off on our tank line of Volpe and Zimperial. Volpe, of course, is a very well-known Wrecking Ball player, so watch out for that, just causing chaos in the back line. Backed up on the tank by Zimperial. I have played with Zim in the past, an incredible off-tank player, particularly on the Sigma, in my opinion. On the DPS, we have Artemis and Drowsy, who is definitely not Sleepy's editor, everyone, so I don't want to see Oi Bruvs in the chat, please, no. And then, rounding out our starting lineup, we have Pocket and Dragonrend on the supports. Both just very solid, been around for a long time in the AoE community, the AAOL community as a whole, and just really, a really veteran team, but also just a lot of talent all across the board.
Yeah, having only kind of formed in September 2020, they've done well to kind of get into a solid place already, so... Looking forward to seeing them. I see that we do have the Drowsy, the resident meme lord over there on that team, so I'm sure there'll be some fun banter in the chat from them. All right, moving over to Catalyst now. We've got Jigsaw there on that main tank, along with the Buddha as well on the off-tank position. Then Kira coming in with that hit scan. Elroy is our projectile DPS, so maybe some Pharah gameplay for you tonight. Not your waifu, definitely not your waifu. Coming on the main support there. And Cinema Monster there on that aim support as well. So some solid players over there as well. This team having their first debut in this season. So, they've got a lot to prove trying to come into this competition now. And with all these teams around, they really want to prove themselves out on that battlefield.
Yeah, I'm really glad that she clarified that she is indeed not my waifu, because for a brief second I thought she was, but that has been put aside. 100% cleared up, no chance. So, no, I apologize. I thought that was funnier, but that's okay. And I think a really interesting thing to point out is that this team of Catalyst has recently swapped over. They have kind of established their own organization, And so they are fairly new to, for this org at least, they are fairly new to AAOL. And as you mentioned, it is their debut season, so there's a lot to look out for here. And I think that a big thing will be how they handle, I don't know how much experience they have being on stream. I don't know if that creates any pressure for them at all. I'm unsure of how they're going to approach that. But I think the bigger thing is, if it's their debut season, presumably not their debut like match or anything, but how will they handle the kind of mental strain that being in a competitive match creates? Like if they're down a map or they just made a big mistake, how are they going to bounce back from that? As for a team like Legion, I have a bit more faith because they have so much more experience that they will be able to handle those kind of hardships. So I think that mental side alongside the actual gameplay itself will be really, really important to the kind of trajectory that this match takes.
True, I couldn't agree more. Also, just looking forward to see what Jigsaw can pull on that Reinhardt being apparently quite great on that role. So, should we have a quick look at the map lineup tonight? We got my favorite map to start us off, Lijiang. Oh, what do you think of Lijiang?
Man, Lijiang is just absolutely phenomenal. It's just so much fun to play. There's Lucio boops all the way around, what I was kind of alluding to at the start. And there's also Control Center, which that's probably the earliest place that we might get to see Jigsaw's Reinhardt come out. So, because it is, of course, Control Center is just so closed in, it just really favors the short range composition with the Reinhardt, accompanied, of course, by the Lucio speed boost and all that jazz. And then after that, we have Night Market. Oh, we have Night Market and Garden, which both you can get away with running a Pharah on. There's also a few potential for some Symmetra shenanigans, maybe. Bit of Pharah, a bit of Junkrat. Tracer hasn't been too bad, neither with the Roadhog. So the Roadhog is, of course, been really prevalent lately, not only for the environmental kills, but just for, especially when accompanied with something like a Discord Orb or a damage boost, just that one pick to generate that one pick to open up the fight is just so crucial to the outcome of it. Like if your Roadhog gets a pick off straight away, you're in a really good standing for the rest of the map.
Couldn't agree more. Then we move on. Either King Zero Numbani was probably going to be King Zero, let's be real. 10% chance of Numbani being played tonight. Dorado, Rialto to follow that. Hanamura, Volskaya on the fourth map there, and then Elios to close it off if we need it. But here we go. Team's getting ready. They're about to go in to Lijiang, my favorite place to be.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be back on Lijiang. Well, so many of my favorite Overwatch memories have been on this map, and we are actually mixing it up a little bit. We are starting on Control Center. So you mentioned this before, I mentioned it before, Jigsaw's Reinhardt is going to be a big one. But a bigger question for me is, what is the tank line what is the other tank that will accompany Jigsaw? So far, it is looking like it is going to be Buddha on that Zarya. And something to point out about Buddha, they joined like a week ago to this team. So a very, very new addition, may not have the same team chemistry, scrim experience on a particular stage like this, playing with those aggressive Reinhardt comps, where the communication is so important. If those comms aren't there, the bubble timings will be off. It is so easy for Jigsaw to feel safe, but in reality just doesn't have that support that's needed, gets picked off, and then the fight just kind of steamrolls from there. And then in response, we have Volpe also rocking the Reinhardt, but we have a Mei Reaper instead of a Junkrat Reaper. So the Mei is going to provide that extra isolation with the crowd control that they're going to have to be really careful of.
Yeah, Legion opens it up nice there, Drowsy with a good wall to try separate. It actually lets them get that first pick in as well. Reaper to steal that one out, but are not going to be happy about it. They find the second. Jigsaw falls, and I think this is what you were just talking about, as this team will now get slowly rolled back. They're looking to try get to the point. Alroy still wants to keep that fight going, but with Kira getting caught off on the side there, it's not going to go so well for them, and they'll just have to give this first fight up.
Nah, that was pretty dominant all the way around. And I think that you pointed out Drowsy doing a really good job on the mate, which I don't disagree with, but I also think that Artemis, her role on the Reaper in that fight was really important. Oh, and there's a Maywall there that might pick off Elroy, but it doesn't. But the flank from Artemis was just really, really big in just getting another angle behind the shield, and this fight's hardly even happening. There was just a couple lessons to kind of clean that one up. And I really like this, because I talk about it all the time with Mei comps, particularly on this map. Because if you play there, where you see where Drowsy is sitting at the moment, in that corner, it's just that Maywall is so easy to land on that choke. But we have Kura on the flank. Get spotted out. That Riptide from the flank could have been really massive. But now that they are aware of that, the next fight is ensuing.
Yeah, they managed to get 3 through the line there, which is good, but not going to be good enough to keep Jigsaw going. The barrier comes up to keep the team in the fight, but down goes that Junkrat ult, which isn't great. Drowsy's just doing so much damage, and this is again going to be enough to push them back. Catalyst really struggling to break through this chokehold.
Man, this is just really, really solid play here coming out from Legion. They know exactly what they're doing. They're completely on the ball. And I wanted to correct myself in the pre-show. We actually have Captain Hill rocking the Lucio instead of Pocket, who I believe I called out at the start. So Captain Hill will be rocking the Lucio, which is really important on this map, and the Blizzard engage.
Oh, they answer there with that Reaper ult as well to follow. Catalyst just kind of caught out. They don't know what to do. The double from Alroy to trade it back, though. Oh my goodness, this might be enough to just keep them in the fight a bit more. Junkrat's got to find the damage. Jigsaw not landing that ult. No. It just didn't have the value they needed in the fight. They are able to find Drowsy here, which might let them get onto this point finally. They really got to as well at 90% on the board. Here it is. They finally do make their way on. Only being held by Volpe here, who's doing their best to keep them in front of that shield. The beat drops just in time. The Zarya ults, so they sit a meter away from each other, unable to move. The two barriers nicely blocked by Jigsaw. That Shatter not having the value you want. Kira gets a good ult into the back line, and Catalyst have found a couple picks here. Should be enough for them to finally convert this point. They got to be careful not to let that overtime slip there. Drowsy's doing well to get on the front here, but without any tank line, the Catalyst can't hold it. They're gonna lose that point in the end, and that's a great fight by Legion to start us off.
Man, going into that final fight, like, the one word that I would have used to describe that round was just dominant from Legion. They played that so well, just perfectly capitalizing on the win conditions of their team composition. They know exactly how to play around that choke with the Mei, and with the speedy engages with the Lucio, and all that jazz. They played it to absolute perfection. It was really good. But the turnaround there for the side of Catalyst, the catalyst for the turnaround, I guess, was Alroy on the Reaper. Like, there was a fight there. It was like a 3v4 in like a really obscure part of the map where not many fights actually take place. But Alroy thought that the fight was winnable, popped that Reaper ult, and actually got a few kills out of it. So it wasn't at all a bad effort. And now we are seeing the Symmetra shenanigans that I was talking about. And Alroy looks like they are sticking with it, going up to the high ground. So this is pretty standard play, and the Wrecking Ball engage from Volpe is going to be really big early on. That ultimate charge already climbing.
Yeah, this is good. Like, already they've asserted some dominance over them by getting on this objective first. And it does look like it's working out quite well for them. Legion not quite sure how to get in here at the point. There's Artemis to get taken down the back line. It's a good pick by Alroy. He's having a lot of value. Good hold there on the Wrecking Ball. Does shut down Volpe quickly. They're not going to be happy about that. And this gives them that point. Legion know they can't really push this. They're just trying to poke away, see what they can get from the outside edges.
Yeah, and we have Catalyst's first fight win in AAOL. The percentage finally building up for them. And now it's a bit of roles flipped from our previous round. Now that this team, now that Catalyst is on the defense, they'll have a lot more win conditions to utilize, this time with the Sim turrets instead of the Mei. And the Junkrat spam will be so much more potent without a shield as Volpe's on the Wrecking Ball.
Oh, here we go. Kira big wreck up 2 on that fight. Will segment them nicely, well enough to cement them in this position. Rolling up to 30% now. Legion just backing out again. They know that when they lose these picks at the beginning of the fight like that, it doesn't go well for them. They need to be more careful with their life, I guess. Maybe let the tanks take more of a front role here.
Yeah, you mentioned that, tanks wanting to take the front role, but that isn't really what a Wrecking Ball and a D.Va want to do. If it was a Orisa and a Sigma or a Reinhardt even, sure, I can back that. But with the Wrecking Ball and the D.Va, they just want to go aggro. And speaking of Wrecking Ball, Volpe gets an early pick on Takura.
Yeah, that's good. This ult, though. 2 ults to be used here. Up goes the wall, which just keeps that defensive position on. Wow, Moira finds the double, but does get picked out in the end for it. They managed to get Volpe back in. But look at the picks to come out from Legion right here. Just all over the place. This fight, very scrappy. And now Jigsaw's caught out in that corner, will go down. And they are able to finally convert it.
The points finally flipping around. Cinemonster got a decent amount of value out of her Coalescence, just was, I believe, slept out of it by Captain Hill, actually, which is not a bad play from Captain there at all. So now I think the big question is, for this offense from Catalyst, is where are they going to come from? It looks like that they're coming bottom left from the attacker's perspective, and they're going to wrap all the way around. I'm a fan of this, because if they stay indoors until the tele can be used, they're just negating as much of that fire from the Echo as possible, so Drowsy is not getting as much spam damage, but Volpe is! Holy dooly!
Yeesh, great placement of the mines, picks up 2 at the beginning of that fight, and does put them in a great position, but Volpe does go down off the edge of the map. Guess it doesn't matter that the rest of the team got it under control. Jigsaw getting slapped off the edge there as well. And the pin, almost getting Buddha on the pin. They will pick it up anyway, but look at this, Legion just getting back in position, and look, it looks like once they got the hold, they were a lot more solid as a team.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, because with control, as soon as you're holding the point, you have a lot more like physical space to work with, and you can also time your engages a bit better, because you don't have to worry about like the attackers and what they're doing. You know where they're going to come from.
Ooh, Ty to pick up 1 there. They've got a couple ults in hand here. If they can find a way to break in, Catalyst want to get on that point ASAP. Good charge there by Jigsaw to put Volpe in a bad spot, but it doesn't matter because Artemis, oh my goodness, just smashing it in the back line there with the 3-piece. And that's just going to give them the hold again. They've managed to pull up the percent over them as well.
Yeah, just really solid Tracer play from Artemis. She's been around in the scene for a long time. There's always popping off on that Tracer in particular. But now we're going into final fight territory. Kura's off the Symmetra is no longer online, sorry. And the slam comes out from Jigsaw. It doesn't look like it got much value though, but they are now on the point. This is big.
Oh, Jigsaw, unfortunately, following up on their ult, gets caught out there. The rest of the team making it to that objective, but still not quite enough. They have got the convert, so at least they're getting those points on the board. A couple of ults to come out here. Again, that minefield just so brutal in terms of taking over that space. And Waifu will go down there as well. Now they're just going to be trying to chip in as the last 2% roll in. Good ult there from Artemis to shut down Alroy. And now it looks like the overtime will just trickle here. And they're going to seal it in 2-0 on the first map.
Yeah, 2-0. The first round was pretty one-sided in the favor of Legion.
Agreed.
Maybe a bit of like first match nerves for Catalyst, I don't know. But in the second round there, they turned it around a little bit. And now just going to take a look at this play of the game from Volpe. This at the end fight, this is really important because the Wrecking Ball mines, they are so good at taking over space, as you see now. And they're so potent because, like, if you look at the percentage, it's like 97% for the side of Legion. The side of Catalyst has to be on that point, or they're just not going to win. That's so, it. And it's just like, it's two negatives going into each other. In this case, it is not a positive, unfortunately, for Catalyst. The mines, they're on the point, on the location that they have to be at all costs. And it's just really solid Wrecking Ball play from Volpe, always standing out on that hero. It's phenomenal play from him all around. And we have Legion going 1-up in the series. So can we get some King's Row spam in chat, please? Because I would like to go there just to see, because I'd like to see Jigsaw have the immediate call for King's Row in chat, of course. But I would like to see a bit more of a fairer battle between Volpe and Jigsaw on the Reinhardt. Because we got to see that on Control, but it was a really hard place for Catalyst to be playing that composition. They were not at all in a favorable spot. But in a map like King's Row, those hard holds like we saw on Control Center are a little bit less potent. So maybe we'll get to see a bit more of a fair exchange between those two on the Reinhardt, and we'll get a bit more of a realistic gauge of their skill on the hero. So I'm really excited to see that. We'll also get to see this Buddha and Zimperial maybe get a bit more done on the Zarya with more time to build up those like crucial graviton surges. So there's a lot to look forward here on King's Row.
Yeah, I feel like Jigsaw just was having a hard time finding that opening for the ultimate, you know, like there was a few times where they went to the fight and they just weren't quite able to find a good use for it, so they held on to it and then the fight didn't quite go their way, and then they still had it in the next battle. And you saw there towards the end in that second to last push, Jigsaw ended up just having to use it, and it wasn't really good value, and then they went to follow it up and the team went to the point. And so in that regard, they just weren't quite communicating well enough. I think they just need to try and open up those opportunities for each other, and they'll be doing a lot better. So maybe a non-control map might make a bit of a difference there.
Yeah, Controller is a very unique map type in Overwatch. Like, it's so, because of its like King of the Hill nature, it is so quick, and it's a lot quicker than most other game modes, in my opinion. And also, the objective is never moving. Like, it's always going to be that one spot. It's always going to be in the middle of that point with a pillar, or it's always going to be in that little square with the cliffs around it. But on a map like Kings Row, there's like multiple different stages throughout the map where they have to make a composition work. So in Kings Row, it probably isn't the best example of this because Reinhardt's pretty good on all of them. But if you look at a map like, I think of something like Route 66. There's so many different kind of each stage of the map favors a different composition almost, and then that becomes a matter of how do you take that L compositionally and just kind of play into a negative, or do you swap it up and risk just completely damaging your ult economy? So that's a bit of a dilemma there for the teams, and we are rolling out Jigsaw not on the Reinhardt, but actually rocking the Zarya Roadhog. So what they're going to be doing there is they just want to be capitalizing on Volpe when they go too aggressive, just like this. Jigsaw's going to be falling early.
Yeah, that May wall is always just giving them a good opening. Alroy does hit a good hit on Volpe, which gets rid of their shield, and it's a long walk back. So if they spawn right here and manage their time well, they could make use of that potentially. I think it is good that Jigsaw switched it up. Maybe they'll have a little bit of a better time just popping that grab off when they want to. So I'm looking forward to that here. Again, the May doing a lot of value on that opening, the chokehold, but now they don't really have that anymore going into this next fight.
Yeah, it's going to be really big. And if Border Blast gets a hook, the damage boost will be there from Cinemonster, and the Discord will be there from Not Your Waifu. So that's just going to be so much damage. That hook target is not going to live unless the Imperial gets a really, really nice projected barrier onto them. That hook target is probably dead, and we're seeing Border Blast look for that now.
Yeah, lots of damage going back and forwards. No picks just yet. There it is. Kira to finally take out Drowsy. Jigsaw shuts down that Reinhardt as well, which means that without the shield, this point's a lot more vulnerable. Elroy finding the pick there on Artemis as well, so we're good to go. It's time to get on this point as they just try and get rid of the final few. Captain trying to get away there, but does get caught on the way out the door, and this should cement them the first point. Unless they want to get aggressive with it. I don't think so. It looks like they're just going to give it up.
Nah, they're going to give it up. But that was a really, really good offense from Catalyst. That first fight was a little bit shaky, but from there, they played it really well. They rotated I believe it was the Ashe, Zenyatta, and the Mercy all the way around onto that high ground. And who from the side of Legion is going to attack them and pressure them from there? Maybe Artemis with a teleport? That's about it. But it was just really solid play, knowing to go all the way around, how that affects their teams. And Artemis is just going a little bit big on the tank line. So any kind of momentum that they had going is completely negated now. So now we're back to, unfortunately for the side of Catalyst, a much similar situation that we had on Control Center. This Arch is just such a natural choke. And you can see Drowsy really early positioning for that May wall. But we have something like a Bob that can be invested. And we have a bit of high ground that we can use to get around it from the snipers. There's a lot going on here.
They got to try and bait this wall out, I think, but it doesn't matter. Alroy just smashing damage from that back there. They get their attack line back in play. The shatter comes down, but it doesn't matter because in that front line, Buddha's just putting damage out. This ice, though, is brutal. The Transcendence only just keeping them alive. Buddha finds the pick onto Dragon. She's not going to be happy about that one. And look at this. Beautiful stuff. As Bob just sits in the back there and just pushes them away. This gives them so much space now.
There in the kill feed on that pick to Volpe, we really saw the ability of that Roadhog with all the assists that were there. Like, the Ashe ended up getting the final blow, but you saw the assists where the Roadhog, the Zenyatta, and the Mercy. And that just shows how this comp is going to be playing. And we see the Roadhog playing really aggressive now. Going to be looking for a hook from behind the potential shield from Volpe, but perhaps Buddha is actually giving away their position a little bit here. And I don't know if I'm a fan of that, but since the cards come up, they can just kind of reevaluate, and we can see Artemis at the top. This is a really good position, because now Artemis can drop down onto the team and use that Death Blossom without having to use Fade to get in.
Ooh, does find the 2 out of it, manages to survive through that Dragon, which comes in just a moment late, I would say. And now they're putting the pressure on. They want to try and find a few kills on the way out. There's Jigsaw to get picked up. Captain just chasing down that DPS line and finds the pick as well. That's some great stuff. And the cut with Butter on it for only a moment longer as Captain goes in for another kill, going full DPS mode on us.
Yeah, a little bit. And this kind of resulted in a hold on point B for the side of Legion, where they have a lot of high ground that they can exploit. Like, Artemis can teleport up to any of those kind of metal passageways and in the boiler room, which I believe is actually a distillery, according to Big Daddy Jeff Kaplan. So Artemis can just chill in that boiler distillery place. And then we can also see Kura on the snipers wrapping all the way around. And I like this, because this staircase creates a small amount of natural high ground, but it's also really important. And around those corners, of course, Mercies can get reses, but Dragon Red is not having any of it on the Moira.
Oh, great. Find the first pick and forced out the res onto that Zen as well. So that was great value from them. Picks up another one with the skill orb. Dragon, just stop it. You're meant to be healing. God damn, that's some beautiful Moira play right there. Drowsy to pick up one as well. So that just cements the halt on that one.
Yeah, the aggressive Moira play from Dragon is only allowed because of the rest of the team around them. Like, then composition, excluding perhaps the Hanzo, they want to play close together. They want to just kind of brawl in as a team, and if everyone's full health, which the Roadhog probably will be because of their take a breather ability, like that Moira has all the space in the world to do damage, and a Coalescence playing into these tight chokes will also do a lot. Oh, that's such a good Dragon, actually, from Drowsy. Just zoning them or forcing them backwards into that choke where the rest of the team is just able to capitalize on all the damage, and everyone is falling all off the back of that one Dragon from Drowsy. That is really good play from him with that Hanzo. So now the question is, will Alroy be able to do a similar thing when he is not dead to Zimperial? So how will Alroy use the Dragon in collaboration with the other ultimates that are on the field? Because both support ultimates are up for the offense. That's really crucial. And they'll probably have to use the Transcendence pretty defensively against something like the Flux. But the Valkyrie should be able to just damage boost the Hanzo, the Ashe, and the Roadhog, letting them go really aggro. We can see the Bob come out now, just pushing past the team, just creating the space for the team to advance.
Good ult on the back there by Artemis to pick up Alroy. Takes that Dragon out of the fight. And there it is. Another ult from Dragon to just sustain the team. This enemy line just ignores the Dragon arrow completely, walking around it. Alroy will not be happy with that in the end, getting picked up by the rock. Sinner also just getting taken out, and they've got 6 seconds to try get there. It's up to Buddha to roll on in, but it's a hard ask all the way. Ashe was there for just a moment, getting picked up. But look, they've got the hog ult to just keep them out. Another Dragon to zone the lane. They're not getting anywhere near it. A great hold there by Legion. Some good space, though, gained by Catalyst.
Yeah, there were a bunch of fights there on point B to try and just kind of close out that final checkpoint, but it just didn't really come to any fruition at the end of it. The offense held really, really strong, and I'd like to give a lot of credit to the tank line, because they have to play the corners really well on a Sigma Roadhog composition. Because, like, there's so many corners and approaches that the offense can come from, and they have to play those with the shield really well. Because they only have one shield. They only have the Sigma shield, which isn't exactly massive. Like a lot very bolsterous with HP that it can kind of absorb. They have to be really sparing with those abilities. And because of how they played, that allowed Drowsy to go on those kind of flanking missions and to get those angles that they did. It allowed Artemis to hold up high because Artemis didn't have to support the rest of the team on the ground because the tanks had it covered. And then that also, of course, allowed Dragon Ren to just go a little bit nutty on the Moira, getting a bunch of kills there, all at point B. So we're seeing a bit of DPS Moira, but it was calculated. It isn't that Moira in your ranked game that you want to kick in the teeth with a set of Doc Martens. It was calculated Moira play. It was pretty solid stuff all the way around. But now we're going to have to see what they can do on the offense. And I imagine that Drowsy at least will do a pretty similar thing to what Kura and the supports did on the offense. Because they'll probably wrap all the way around through alley, all the way up to the high ground, where they just have a really clear sight line onto the point, where the Hanzo can just kind of rein in the damage. But now we see Alroy on the main, not opting for the chokehold. Yeah. Actually, there is, but the wall didn't actually get much, immediately dropping that one, just realizing that it didn't come to much value. And the Sutter Legion has gone pretty much free progress onto the point of point A.
Yeah, Jigsaw trying to get on the point to keep that shield in place. Alroy switching with that tank line nicely. But look at them. Legions still just walk onto this point. Captain getting quite aggressive. There has to be careful not to get taken out. Artemis does find Jigsaw, but getting traded, it doesn't really matter. You want to win those fights, even with a 1v1. That's still good value. Buddha now getting pushed back, and they know that they've lost this here. That is such a good push by Legion.
Yeah, it really was. And as much credit as you have to give to, of course, Legion for executing that, I think that Alroy had a bit of a misplay on the May wall. Like, there was a decent wall there. They couldn't really back up. It was onto, like, 3 people, and they were there. but the speed boost was not there because they're running an Art of Mercy composition. There's no Lucio to engage on those isolated targets, so they kind of just escaped empty-handed. And that's a little bit unfortunate. So this is a bit of a compositional, like, they're kind of countering each other. So I think that what the side of Catalyst needs to do is they need to settle down and find one style and fully commit to it instead of trying to go for some half-half shenanigans, which are just not quite working so far, unless they want to prove me completely wrong, which I'm more than keen for.
Oh, Dragon getting a lot of their ult blocked off by that May wall early on. Still finding good value out of here. Here's the Dragons across the lane. Splits the team in two, so they have to pop Bob on the point to get that hold on. Volpe picking up Jigsaw in the end with a hard chase. May to go down as well. There's a lot of value out of that fight. Mercy going in with the ult, gets Jigsaw back in, so they bring the shield back into this fight for Catalyst. Good ult there by Buddha, but where's the rest of the team to make use of it? There's the shatter onto the four of them. Can Jigsaw clean it up? He finds a 3. Oh my goodness, getting that damage buff from the Mercy to pick up Hog on the way out where you get the spin to confirm that joy. What a play. They had to use 2 ults to get that though, but beautiful stuff.
Yeah, in the midst of that fight, and especially at that point, the Sigma Shell from Volpe would probably not have much health, so Volpe would try to be very conservative with the use of that ability, and Jigsaw would just have... And you're not really thinking about the slam in the middle of that. It's so hectic with all the comms. Jigsaw just perfectly capitalizing on that, letting a big slam, cleaning them all up with the assist of the Mercy. And now this Blizzard actually catches Volpe. If they get that pick, the fight's probably going to turn around, and the anti-nade accompaniment is really big.
Good. Drowsy getting a shot in the back. The Imperial coming in with a good ult. It zones them out well, and they manage to find Jig out of that too, because Artemis always is just around the corner with that shotgun. And look how close they are to this point already as they push the final few back. The support's hanging around a little too long there, I think. They should have probably just backed up.
Yeah, that stagger is actually really crucial, because now it's just going to be like some stagger halved fight for the tanks of, like, we can see Buddha onto the hammer trying to get a touch. It doesn't even happen. And those supports dying so late means that there is no, like, final fight as such. It's just kind of a final... I don't even want to call it a skirmish. A bit of a scramble just to get to the objective there. And I'm... at least for Legion, they put up a little... Legion. Catalyst. They put up a bit more... They had a few standout plays, as we're seeing here from Jigsaw. Just really good value out of that Reinhardt ultimate ability in collaboration with the Gravitron Surge. So that's what you said before. The 2 tank ultimates just kind of banding together to get a lot of value there. And that's really good. But once they use those tank ultimates, that next fight, they really didn't have much in the shed to get value out of. I'm pretty sure there was a... I didn't even know what other ultimates were online. And that's a little bit scary from my end, because I'm looking out for that. And if I don't really remember it, either I'm very, very stupid, which is possible, or there was not much else to work with. And that's a little bit scary. And that just all the way comes back down to an essential of Overwatch, which is your ultimate economy. If you can get away with winning a fight with 1 ult, it's so much better and more efficient than winning it with 3. Because if you use 1, you can just keep on cycling them, and you'll always have an ultimate. And in extension of that, you'll always have, like, a really decisive plan going into that fight.
Yeah, and I think that's what Legion did a lot on that defensive as well. We saw that in that same lane that we just saw Jigsaw fighting in. They were doing that in maybe 2 or 3 fights in a row. And that value made it up for a lot of time in that game. So I definitely agree with that point.
Yeah, it's how the ultimate economy is how you get those like really with like long drawn holds on point B, like we saw from Legion. Like, it's only possible with really good ultimate economy because you'll always have something to use.
Yeah. Well, here we go into the next map. It's between Dorado and Rialto, and I think
it is Rialto.
What we're gonna get. Yep.
Yeah, we are. So this is pretty big. Like, there's a few Reinhardt plays that you can get away with here, but maybe Jigsaw doesn't even want to opt into that anymore. Maybe that he's a little bit scared that maybe Volpe's too much to handle. The rest of the team isn't there. So maybe the question is, if they're not going to run the Reinhardt, what are they going to run? Because we saw them run a bit of Hog Zarya. That got a little bit of value, but not like as much as they probably would have hoped for, obviously. So this is going to be a really interesting map compositionally. And excuse me, also, the side of Catalyst, they need to win this. Like, if they do not win Rialto here, Legion take the series 3-0, we call it a night, and the side of Catalyst go home, head in their hands, and with no victory to their name, and that's getting off to an L in AAOL is not the best. You'd like to obviously get that win on the board very early, take that little bit of pressure off, and just kind of affirm to yourself that you belong in the competition. Like, of course, they obviously do, even if they lose, but it's just mentally, it's so much better to start off to a win than a loss.
Yeah, we're about halfway up the division list as well, so they definitely want to try and stay up around that mid-range for now, and coming in early at that point's a good spot to be. So trying to stay up there, they want to be climbing that ladder. So of course, these kind of things, like you say, earning the early one is great. I think what you're saying with the tank line, I can definitely see some wrecking ball going on here in the early part. We like to get some of those boops into this water here. Captain surprisingly playing Ana instead of the Lucio, which I thought they would be looking for the boop kills as well, but not going to come out for us apparently.
No, and I understand this pick because accompanying Captain Hill on the Ana is Drowsy on the Genji. So obviously there's going to be some Nanoblade combos going on here, and that's just really good. And of course, with the auto economy with that, if you win a fight with just 2 ultimates, that isn't bad at all. Like, that's still really good. So they can look for these. And speaking of Drowsy, early pick on Takura.
Yeah, nice little shot into the back to hit that as well. From range too, not a bad one at all. Jigsaw getting hooked through the gap there. They managed to trade it out. And with that anti-nade on, Imperial will fall. They trade out Buddha, so both Hogs out of the fight for now. To see what happens on this front line. Drowsy doing a lot of work at the front there to deflect. And now Volpe forced to come back in. There it is, that res onto the Hog. I was waiting for it. And they managed to pick up Volpe as well. So this puts them in a great spot here. Catalyst looking to move this as much as possible in this early stage. As their Hog on Legion's side coming back into the fight now. They're grouping again at this choke. They want to try and stop it just before it gets there.
Yeah, the Anas are going to be really important because naturally Ana is just such a big counter to the Roadhog with their anti-nade denying that take a breather ability, and we can see that now. The Ana grenade from Captain Hill that landed like friendly onto his Imperial and very negatively onto Motorbikes, resulting in an immediate pick onto them, and the fight's essentially done. They have to back up, and we can see Volpe just trying to capitalize on it, trying to get a bit of extra damage. But the Anas are going to be so important, and that plays really well, of course, into the hook as well. Like if you get the hook onto the Roadhog, the other Roadhog is very likely going to die if the Ana is in the right position and knows what they're doing and is ready for it. So, but also, again, on the Anas, I've been harping on about them so much, but both Nanoblades are online here. So this is going to be a really big one. There's a few ways to shut this down. There's, of course, the Roadhog hook, maybe a bit more clutch even a sleep from the counter Anas. That would be very, very sick. I'd love to see a Nanoblade sleep. But it's just going to be a lot of kiting. There's no Lucio to speed away from it, and Draz is going in.
Here we go. Both of them are going to come out at the same time. There's a couple of hits into the backline. They both find themselves the Anas, so no sleep darts coming out now. Sinner bringing their Ana back into the fight quickly does put them in a good spot here. They pick up 2. Volpe to go down as well, and wow, that worked out so well for Catalyst there.
Yeah, it actually did, and that was really interesting from the side of Legion. I don't think there's going to be much of a realistic contest here, or prove me wrong actually. I want to talk about the Nanoblades, and the Bob's coming out here actually, and that's just going to, it's actually slept. But because of that, the defense coming back from the spawn is actually going to be really careful of that Bob when it respawns.
Yeah, Catalyst just had too much control in that. Do you want to cover those Nanoblades real quick? I want to.
Yeah, I would love to, because this fight's basically done here. Point A is going to go to the side of Catalyst, and back to those Nanoblades. Alroy actually popped it second. Drowsy was in that blade for a solid 2 seconds at least, accompanied by, of course, the Nano Boost. But crucially, they got like a similar amount of kills, but crucially, Alroy got the pick onto Dragonran, and because they were dead, they were obviously not being able to do any resurrecting, while Cinemonster stayed alive, and she was able to get a few of those clutch resurrects off, turning the fight back in their favor. And we have a trade of environmental kills there. That was a little bit funny. The Hog taking down the Wrecking Ball with them, not leaving without a fight. And the Nanoblades are going to be back online here very, very shortly. So I'm expecting a similar engage. So I think Dragonran is going to have to play a lot more careful and preserve their life and kind of value that. Be a little bit selfish with your play. But that won't happen for a little bit as the honor falls.
Yeah, big hook by Imperial to make that happen. Does get traded out in the end by Jigsaw walking around low HP, capitalized on by Volpe there. And this has just kept them in the advantage state. No environmental kill there for Buddha, and they will get picked on, but the rest of the team still hanging around. So that fight not going so well for Catalyst. Oh, Waifu getting a staggered kill as well.
Holy dooly. It just kind of fully dawned on me. My hands are on my head right now. It's fully dawned on me how hectic this next fight is going to be. It's a 6 ultimate versus a 5 ultimate fight. So, of course, there's the dilemma of, do you use the ultimates to kind of secure the fight, or do you save them and play the long game? Do you want to value the immediate fight win, or do you want to play long term? And Arrow is going in for the nano blade. Oh!
2 with the slice. Oh, the aerial denial with the mines in an attempt to hold him back. Drowsy finds the kill with the dash. And they've held on to a few ults there, only having to commit the mines. I mean, losing their support like that, though, is brutal. They bring Alroy back into the fight. Sinner just keeping the pressure on them. And Alroy knows exactly how to do that. Imperial getting hooked in, but they managed to shut down Buddha mid-ult. And now the Nano Blade to reply with straight into Ana instantly. Synchronized not landing there. Means that Drowsy just keeps to keep going. 3 kills there, and ends up falling Alroy to follow. Neither of them knowing how to swim. The bras coming out in chat. And, oh man, that what a fight.
There's certainly a lot to unpack there. Of course, a lot of very strategical jumping into the water and suiciding. This very, very intense, high-level Overwatch gameplay going on there. But the later Dragon Blade came out from Drowsy. So in both situations where it's been a Nano Blade fight, the later Blade has won. So now, in my head, are both teams going to be really cautious? Bob just fell off the map! Oh no! Cut me off from my monologue, Kura.
Why is everyone trying to go for a swim today? The pressure on the cart is good, but still Catalyst getting some movement here. Slowly but surely. It's only the Wrecking Ball, really. Volpe doing the most work there to keep it from rolling any further. Imperial has that high ground, looking to find the pick on a support potentially here. Wrecking Ball smashes in and got Captain Hill to take the first fall. The hook comes out, and they manage to bring Captain back into the fight. Dragon with a good res. Another blade here from Alroy, and going to be zoned well by Imperial, but not before they find the 2 picks out of it. Imperial getting a second there, putting Buddha into the river again. There's just so much swimming going on here. The rock from Jigsaw just not quite landing there, but it doesn't matter. Kura getting that damage out into the support. Takes the sustain away for Legion, and now they've got the 2 tanks. A good hook there. Shuts down Kura, though. Jigsaw looking to help their team out, but Sinner gets caught out there by the Wrecking Ball swing, and I think that with this minefield up, it's going to be hard for Catalyst to keep it rolling. And as they slowly roll back in, Legion trying to keep cart progression. The Doomfist boosted, but gets killed by the blade. They've held it out in the end. The overtime rolls. Wow.
Whew. That was really, really hectic. I don't even remember what happened at the start of that fight, kind of what instigated that. Scramble, there was a Doomfist swap in there, but that was really intense. Alroy, I believe, went for the blade because since Alroy used it in the previous blade fight so much earlier, had that online while Drowsy was only sitting at like 50-60%. But crucially, I think the nano boost from Waifu was just not there at all because those ultimates were so out of sync. Because Alroy was getting so much value out of those collateral dashes, being able to go back and forth in between those people, and because of that, the extra healing input wasn't there. Obviously the damage resistance and the damage boost and all that stuff was just not there for the Genji, and didn't quite get as much value as Alroy may have liked, and the spawner advantage coming in really big as well. At the end of point B there, it's a bit of a monster walk from spawn to get to the cart there. It is not at all quick. You wouldn't mind like a Segway, like a Swagway or something. Just kind of lean forward and get there, because I think it's pretty time consuming, that walk. And really interestingly also, we're seeing a bit of a Torbjorn defense. And I think the Torbjorn pick isn't at all bad against the teased Genji Tracer that we're seeing from Legion. Because the Torbjorn turret is a 7th man. It can shut down that flank. If Alroy wants, Alroy can just put that turret on the flank and it will just completely alert them to whenever any sneaky Artemis or Drowsies are trying to get around the back line. So this turret can get a lot of value, but Drowsy is not falling early to Buddha.
Yeah, that's some good damage there. They're grouping well. I think that Legion got a little bit separated there for a bit, and the healers couldn't quite reach in range. Jigsaw comes up with that shield, and it allows Buddha to not get hooked and in trade take Imperial there. So it's a good little pick to get early on. They're trying to pick up the second tank if possible, even with this damage into the backline. But that turret is really doing well from the back here, just applying that little bit of extra pressure.
Yeah, and Drowsy's actually down again, but it will be Reservoir from Dragon. So the next kind of fight will be here. So now the question is the offense here of Legion just going to play for a Dragon Blade? But no, they aren't. The Honor Grenade from there onto Buddha Blast is so big, meaning that the Take a Breather is not there, and the first pick to instigate this fight is there.
They find center as well, which does mean they haven't got that support sustain anymore. Down goes Zen as well, so no healers for their side any longer. Legion just going to be able to walk this up, I think, unless the tanks are really clever about managing their health bar here coming into this next fight.
There's actually a decent amount of people there, and if Kura can get a Bob, the extra contest from that 1000 HP Bob will be really, really big. So Kura just needs to stay safe, build up that ultimate behind the shields, maybe land a few big dynamites onto multiple people, but they also have to worry about the blade from Drowsy. If Drowsy brings that out, we have the Torbjorn ult defending the point instead. That is also very, very good. It just means that no one can kind of back up from the card if they're already on it or go towards it. And because of that, the space made from that multi-call let everyone come forward, and it's kind of a one fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, Artemis didn't find the value at that pulse bomb there and did get taken out. So
Dragon? That's they'll definitely be wanting back, unfortunately, for Dragon. But it also bought enough time for the blade to be on the Nano Blade to be online for Captain Hill and Drowsy. But this time is a little bit different to our first time around. The defense against the blade is running as Zenyatta Ana. So that Transcendence will obviously be there. So now the pressure is on Captain Hill to land that Bio Grenade into the Transcendence. So it's just completely negated.
Here we go with the Nano Blade on the Drowsy there. Volpe finds the pickup on the Jig as well to keep some of that shield pressure away. The Transcend there does keep the team looking pretty good, but not enough to keep the payload in play. Volpe finding Alroy in the back line as well. And look as they just roll on through them. My goodness, they clean up the whole line. And this is going to buy them a lot of space.
Yeah, it certainly has, and the payload is swiftly making its way through point B as we speak. Artemis going very aggro, look for the pulse bomb, but it doesn't actually get any value. If Jigsaw stays alive here, the Flux will be online. And the Flux will... The question is, will Jigsaw save the Flux for the Blade? Because Drowsy's like making significant ult charge progress towards that. So do they want to try and use that as a counter in case the Zenyatta ultimate is not there in time? Or they just want to play the high ground like they're doing, which is really good, because if they play the high ground, they can look down on everyone. Headshots are easier to hit if you're someone like a Roadhog or a Zen, and it also just means that you can engage a bit easier, and the High Noon's online.
Oh, but Drowsy stands in front of them with the deflect, buys the time to allow the kill to come out. That's beautiful stuff by Drowsy to hold that off. Man, they have to be really smart about this. This could be the final battle for Catalyst if they're not careful. They need to make sure that they really buy some time here. They got 3 minutes to kill. And they're just getting a little split up here. Jigsaw gets caught out, gets ulted to keep them in the fight. The Synchronize getting ready to be put into play. Does come up in an awkward spot and not going to really get the value they need. Getting rid of Zen at the back there. Artemis finding a good kill, but Bob on the cart makes sure that Dragon does not get anything out. Drowsy forced to just dash out of there as Captain now going to try and cross dangerously. Not sure if they're going to make this. That's a good sleep dart by Sinner, which just allows them to get that trickle kill. That is the time that I'm asking them to find.
Yeah, and time indeed has been made, but there's still 2 minutes left, and if the side of Legion really want, they can just not use anything. They can take 1 or 2 dry fights. The Tracer and the Mercy ults both charge pretty quickly, so they can just wait and then take a full fight of 6. But I don't think that will happen, purely because Alroy is sitting on the Sombra. If they wait enough, the EMP is going to be online, and then that will just counter everything. And Volpe's down really early. This fight probably won't have much happen, and Artemis is attempting to wrap around the flank, but I don't think it'll be enough.
Yeah, they got both tanks. Look at this cleanup, man. Look at them go. Buddha's trying to hunt another Tracer, able to just dash out of there in time. This is actually quite good for them. Now down to a minute 20.
Yeah, this defense is looking, in my eyes, more and more winnable as the time goes on for the defense. Not obviously just because the time's running out, but there's ultimates like EMP coming up. The Zenyatta ult's online, but in the final fight, the Bob will be online, which will be really crucial for contesting the payload. And it's all on the back of how the tanks are playing on these stairs. The high ground position is so strong on the stairs here, and Buddha's down early, that's big. Nanobo's out.
Oh, the blade from Drowsy. The Transcend can cover most of the team, but that's just so much damage. Down goes another Artemis to pick up the Zen, and now Elroy, the last one standing. They're just going to roll this card up, and it all came down to a single blade.
It did indeed. The Nanoblade there was just... Nanoblade is one of the few things that can kind of, if you slash and dash, it can actually out-damage the healing of the Transcendence. And hopefully we'll get to take a little bit of a squiz at that now? It looks like we are, yeah. Oh, no, we aren't. I lied. But also, really crucially in that fight, Alroy had the EMP going into the fight, not only didn't use it at the start, we see Drowsy taking a bit of a swim. Lovely to see that perspective. It's a little bit funny. I'm going to chuckle at it. But the Alroy had the EMP, and I think that they should have perhaps used it a little bit earlier than he did. Because if they used it earlier, the blade wouldn't have been able to be used because, of course, all abilities would be deactivated. But instead, Alroy elected to kind of hold on to it, and by the time that he popped it, there was already 3 people dead. It was basically just him around. And not only that, but he actually got slept out of it, I believe, by Captain Hill. So that's like a pretty big play coming out there to just completely sleep on the EMP. It's a little bit stylish, but at the end of the day, I don't think it means much. SC Legion getting off to a really good start in Season 11, Stage 2 of AAOL, getting a clean, pretty decisive 3-0 victory over AE Catalyst here.
Yeah, Catalyst, they're not going to be happy about that, but I'm sure that there will be plenty of opportunity for them to have a look at this kind of replays and just find out where they went wrong with that and how to improve it. There's a lot of value in the stuff that Legion pulled out as well, some similar comps, so they could probably use that as some good examples of where to find the cracks, that kind of thing. But really, some great play by Legion, some beautiful ultimate use. Jigsaw popped off on King's Row with that shadow. You got to love moments like that. But yeah, it looks like it's Legion going to get the first win of this stage, so good stuff for them. We've only got this one game for you tonight. It's unfortunate that it was 3-0, real quick one for you, so we're going to have to close out shop here now, I guess. But thank you to My Republic for being our sponsor for tonight, as usual. Check them out to see what they got to offer. Remember, if you want to get involved with these competitions as well, you can check out the links below to join Discords and that kind of thing and get amongst it. Any final words there, Nikki?
I would just like to kind of generate some discussion for player of the match, perhaps.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think that Drowsy is a decent shout. I am not opposed to that one at all. But I think Volpe was, despite a few maybe overextensions on the Wrecking Ball, played pretty solidly throughout that whole series as well. So I think it's a bit of a tough one. I think it was a real team effort, which is really important in a tournament like AAOL. Like no one is claiming that this is the highest level of Overwatch around, but the team play is still there, and that can just create so much potential to expand into some really genuinely scary teams. If you see that you're playing them next week, you will be shaking in your boots, and you will not be able to get that out of your mind because you know that these teams can be so menacing. So I really love to see that all the way around. Do you have a shout for MVP, Stranger?
I was thinking as well on the side of Legion. Dragon Rend had a great match just in the backline. Supports often don't get a lot of limelight with just healing the team. They don't ever really get to get those 5-man kills. But Dragon Rend with the great healing came in with that ult that found a couple of picks as well, and just really working well with the team. So I guess them. But I think I'd have to agree that I think Volpe was probably the player for tonight, with those ult uses being very crucial, especially early on in Lijiang. It basically zoned out that point to give them the first round without too much pressure. So yeah, I think for me, Volpe would have to be the one.
Yeah, that's all I have to say, at least. Is there anything else that you would like to contribute? Because that was... No. I wish there was a little bit more to talk about in that series. I wish that there was another map that we could go to, but at least we got to see King's Row.
Yeah, I think we'll get to see a lot of Kings Row in this stage setup. But yeah, I look forward to seeing Catalyst again in a future match, see how they get on and improve as a team. Obviously, both of these teams quite fresh as well, so there's still plenty to come from them. But, all right, I guess that's us. We're going to wrap it up here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll catch you next week for the show again at same time, same place. See you then.